Maybe I'll just start. We acquired Bridalveil Falls, I can't remember how many years ago, 4 years ago? A little over 4 years ago. And we've been struggling to find ways to enhance that gem that it is, Bridalveil Falls is in our county. We've gone through different iterations of what can be done, and we've went through an RFP, trying to find things that worked. And frankly, it's been a little frustrating for me on that end with trying to find things that work. There's been some proposals that have come up here and there, and it looks like, I know we've got the one. Are you with a group? Okay. Is Curtis Minor out there? Is he still out there? He said he was, I don't know if he's out there. He was another group. There's been some groups that have been invited that have had interest in the past to come in, and I personally, in looking at it, would like to do something up that canyon with Bridalveil Falls. Hopefully, maybe something that would be great and enhance the beauty, or enhance the opportunities there, and enhance the availability, and so there's been multiple conversations with it. Maybe let's start with your group. Why don't you come on up? I know you've got a little presentation you wanted to present. Yep. Why don't you guys go ahead and go first, and then Curtis will talk to some of your proposals with it. Right there at that microphone. Oh.
Where should I go, right here?
Yep, right there.
Oh. But if not.
I know we've got a group here from BYU, political science, Poly 110. You ever been to Bridalveil Falls? Yeah? Okay. Fantastic. Are you from here, and where are you from? Virginia? San Diego? Washington State? Hawaii? San Diego? Pennsylvania? Madrid? Spain?
Oh, you're close.
Utah? What part of Utah? Okay. Yep. Okay. Michigan. Okay. All right. All over the place.
All right, first I want to thank Commissioner Lee for you mentioned this to me in passing, and I am a Utah County resident. I have been for about 20 years, and I have a personal love of this area, and I really appreciate how much I could tell that you guys have a genuine concern for the public good with this property, and so a lot of that was taken into consideration with what we're presenting. Okay. First and foremost, one of the things that I did want to mention as well is that, we did take some time and we consulted with.
Did you, for the record, did you state your names?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mike Puglia is my name.
Josh Shipley.
Do you want a background on us?
No,
okay, good.
that's just so that.
Just so it's for the record, yeah, perfect. And then, one of the biggest things we did, we did consult, and you'll be able to kind of see here, but we consulted with some Disney Imagineers, previous Imagineers retired in Disney Legends with more than 60 years experience to kind of help us with what could be possible here, and hopefully, obviously there's a real value in making sure we can appreciate the environmental, protecting the environment, protecting the natural habitat, and making sure that the attraction is and always will be the falls, and a way for it to be safer and for more people to enjoy it. I don't know if you have any comments on that before the.
No, as I say, without the visuals, no, it's just the idea that of the protection of the falls itself. In the presentation of what we will be showing is maintaining the environment as well as adding a lot of improvements to the trails, safety, precautionary items there, but also decreasing the amount of vehicle traffic in front of the falls so that people can actually have foot traffic and enjoy the falls in a picnic type of a setting, as well as building out heritage and historical centers so that school groups can come into the area and receive presentations on Utah Valley and the land and things like that.
Perfect. I guess we're just waiting for that, so, sorry, we weren't sure the
I could walk it
connection there,
around.
yeah, but, that's one thing I'll admit, even I wasn't very familiar with a lot of Utah County history, or how much there was, until we started looking at this and realized how much, you know, elements can be put into the theme and the design and things that can really be utilized for both an educational and an enjoyment, and, you know, as far as attractions or things in Utah County. I mean, obviously, it looks, you know, Bridal Veil Falls is one of the top attractions already, you know, listed for Provo, but as far as the state and that, you know, it still seems to be a little bit more unknown, and so we like the idea of being able to,
While we're doing that, Ezra, the other group, I know they sent us some stuff.
Yeah, they weren't able to come.
And they weren't able to come personally, but I think all three of us probably have that, right? That was sent to all three of us.
I think I should have brought my other connection.
Hopefully it doesn't have to go all the way down to
Yeah.
the bottom floor.
Yeah, all we need is a HDMI cord.
I usually have one, but I might have taken it out. No such luck.
So, get this.
Maybe one of these BYU students has an HDMI, no? All right, fair enough. Did he? Okay.
We have all of these young millennial techie kids here. Why don't you have these
Oh,
spare
I've-
parts, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Dang it, I usually have my-
I have a problem with the HDMI cord.
Mm.
There you are.
I've got multiple backups.
Wow. Thank you.
We're good now.
Got it to work there. Okay.
All the bands we needed.
All right. Well, we'll just go ahead and jump on in, I guess, to the main, go to the next slide there. All right, so if you kind of see here, now this again is a concept design, done by some industry experts to kind of show what could be possible utilizing that space over many years and many phases. Obviously, not all of which needs to be in there, but something that can really show the potential for what could be there. If it's something that's needed, fits with the growth and everything. And then, go ahead, did you have a comment on that, Josh?
No.
We did take into account, a lot of the questions, noting that, restrooms, viewing areas, manicured park areas were very, were of great interest to the public. Also, different improvements, improved trail, more parking, viewing areas, landscaped areas, all of which really fit into kind of what we were envisioning as well. The commercial ventures, obviously, there's a fair amount, when it comes to commercial ventures. We want to keep this very minimal as far as, no, we're not looking at doing lodging or, any major commercial things. We want it to remain open to the public, not charging people to go there, anything of that nature. We do see a need for a good, as he mentioned before, a lot more open areas for, whether it be picnics or group events, schools, and things of that nature. And we want it to obviously remain as natural as it can, also understanding that there is a lot of traffic that goes there. A lot of people in the area is growing, and so we want to make sure that has the ability to grow with it, while allowing it to be enjoyed by more people at the same time safely. And so you can kind of go from there. One of the big main things that we looked at is utilizing kind of at the falls. One thing we've noticed is, most of the attraction obviously involves people parking and walking and standing at the base of the falls on the bridge. There's, less viewing areas for photo opportunities, group, places to enjoy, children to, families to spend. So what we envision is something that allows a large common area across as well that can be enjoyed for great viewing angles, and an amphitheater design which allows for many layers of photo ops. There can be any number of different things that can be hosted or done at that as well. And we even considered different things as far as it's nothing we've talked to, but even like the Freedom Festival and the Flag Retirement or different things that Utah County or the area has, being able to host those type of things at that location. And so that's kind of where we look at the main area. Again,
Yeah, this would represent the first step of a phase one, and actually the most crucial, because this is the viewpoint of the falls. Everything else that was seen on the bird's eye, as well as advancing forward, is just potential build outs over years if desired. But the phase one that you're looking at right now is the crucial important part.
yeah, it's very important to utilize that. And again, we want to, as you can tell there, not to be the mixture of cars, bikes, and people as it currently is. We want it to be something that's much more pedestrian and bike friendly, with great use of parking that we've been able to identify as possibilities. But really, we'd like to keep that as a pedestrian and bike and a very natural and enjoyable space. So. There are a couple different ideas for event or like reception themed buildings. When we looked at the area, being able to host, could be a place where there are events or any number of things that can happen there as well. If you'll notice, one of the themes that like a certain theme, and we found again with the rich Utah history. I mean, this is a very traditional Western. It's definitely looking to be more of a Western mountain theme, something that can. There's a lot of romanticism behind the Wild West and that, especially in the history of Utah. So we'd really like to incorporate a lot of that theme into kind of the messaging and what we're doing.
Yeah, especially with the tourism from both Europe and Asia that come to Utah and travel south to go through the national parks and things like that. We know that there's a lot of romanticism behind that and what drives their desire to visit Utah. So we just wanted to put that in as the actual aesthetic theme and feel of the entire area.
Another part of the main phase that we look at is actually a visitor event and a history center that would be on the upper area and kind of with a deck that extends again to create a lot of viewing. Also offer an opportunity for different events, different things that can happen there without again disturbing, but being able to really create an opportunity in that area for more people to enjoy it with different uses. As you can kind of see there, I mean that's really what we go for. And we really want to focus a lot on the educational history aspect of the area, which there's just a lot of great history here that we found can be incorporated in that, and ways for more people to enjoy it. And we also, in that area, can go over different parking options in that too, so. And again, this is, from a conceptual standpoint of what could be possible. I mean, it would take, some time and years, and obviously that's something that's much further down the road, if it's something that's possible, but could show the possibility as far as being able to spread that population or the amount of people over a greater area to enjoy that.
Yeah, and
Beautiful attraction.
Yeah, I
so.
mean, a lot of these facilities, although not directly called out for specific amenities, but the idea is that we'd be able to put in blacksmithing and panning for gold and candle dipping, and just have it be kind of a living, breathing little town up there in the mountains that would have the backdrop off in the corner of the falls.
Yeah, we're looking for a lot that can, be both educational and give a good experience for people in the area to enjoy that as well. So, yep.
That's
Perfect.
it.
Yep, and that's kind of, like I say, just an overall concept, and then, if we go into a lot more detail, we did have a brief meeting with UDOT, just see if the possibility of traffic and things like that, and they were very interested in seeing the concept art and believe that there is a need due to safety as well from the roads, as you guys have mentioned, and then we also would love to collaborate with Sundance. We did meet with them, and they've voiced some interest in being able to collaborate with us as well on a project like this, so, yeah, I mean, I guess, it's a
That's it.
basic overview for now. Any questions or?
So I have the advantage of seeing this before
Yeah.
and looking down through it. Can you go back to the first, kind of the first
Absolutely.
phase part? That's what has the most interest for me to start
Absolutely.
with anyway. I expressed that to you.
Yes.
It's kind of, because we're looking at it on a flat screen.
Exactly, yeah.
The road that goes up there right now would be eliminated. It wouldn't be totally eliminated. I mean, wouldn't be used for just through traffic.
Correct.
And then the parking lot, you don't see the hill. It does go down on that
Correct.
hill back down
That
there.
is a lot.
And that's how you can get that amphitheater to kind of come back in.
Absolutely.
Is you can build that back in for more viewing. For me, this kind of a concept is something that I can envision, being up there for more use, allowing people to watch the falls, the stars, the mountains, whatever they want to watch up there, and still be a part of it. And it will allow for, hopefully, we'll make it it would be made in such a way that for safety purposes, it would be beneficial.
Absolutely.
That way. Well, the other part that of this that I, we don't have eyes on up there, and so it kind of runs a little bit as the Wild West. There's a lot of, things just happen, and I know we've got some porta potties up there now, but in the past it's been really kind of disgusting, especially for that beautiful iconic view that is there. I just saw this last week. KUTV 2 did a little tweet on Bridalveil Falls for, Bridalveil Falls at fall time.
Yeah.
And I just, I think that, even those who are not from our state have been up there. And at one point in time, I was told, not verified, but I was told it was the second leading attraction in the state of Utah behind the Temple Square. And I still think, I don't see Richard here, but I still think they get about 1 million visitors a year up there. So it's a gem for us. For me, I've been wanting to do something up there ever since it's been purchased, and do something that is beneficial to the residents. And I think I know the next proposal too, and I don't see why they couldn't blend together. I don't see them necessarily as competing interests, but there's a possibility for some sort of blending up there. I think it just depends on what we want to do. The stuff down the river, there's a whole bunch of questions on that.
Exactly. And
Especially when it comes to building by a river, we may have to go through all kinds of EPA stuff, which is, anyway, the rest of that's down there is kind of concept. But I like, at least the kind of the start, idea.
That's why I appreciate that, yeah.
Any other thoughts or comments?
I guess for me, from everything we've seen so far, this is a concept that I like,
Thank you.
actually. A couple of the other proposals, having it be private facilities and stuff, were of no interest to me. And I think this one encompasses what I hope, and that's an enhancement of the natural beauty of the area that allows people to enjoy it. And my only concern is, and you can't see it really from this concept drawing, so conceptually I like, you know, what I would need to see or want to see more is traffic flow patterns and how we're dealing with congestion and
Yep.
and stuff like that. Because that's always, you brought up a point that I'll delicately address, and that was like the tourists, the foreign tourists, which are phenomenal, and we welcome them and we embrace them.
Yeah.
And it's also a busload of, you know, 150
Oh, yeah.
people dumping off all at one time that creates, you know, a challenge when you're trying to enjoy a pristine,
Absolutely.
quiet, natural environment. And so that's, you know, when I come back off the gas on this thing a little bit, I need you to understand that's where I am with that. It's trying to find that right balance of how do we enhance this so that it's beautiful and we can truly enjoy it. But we don't do maybe such a good job of it that we
Yeah, I
we
understand.
ruin
Yeah.
the experience by creating, you know, a massive congestion.
Absolutely.
And so that's,
Mhm.
I don't have all the answers to that question, but I like conceptually what you're showing here. But my further exploration would be, like this, how are we managing that component of it to make sure that visitors still have a pristine, natural experience at the falls?
Yes, sir, that's right.
I don't really know what to say because I'm not sure what is being considered. I mean, we own this land. I've seen a drawing and some ideas, but to me, it's short of a proposal. I don't know. I really don't know what this conversation entails.
Mhm.
So I don't really have any comments at this time.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Curtis.
Commissioners, good morning. My name is Curtis Miner, and I've been asked to come and represent Richard Losey, who has had conversations with each of you independently, and I suppose that maybe the appropriate thing to do here would be to maybe summarize what he is hoping to accomplish in his involvement with the falls. And I do like the idea that possibly what you just saw or other ideas might be blended with what he's proposing to do as well. But just to summarize what, some of the history of the falls up there, the original tram was established in the 1950s or so. That operated for a number of years until it was eventually taken out by an avalanche. The tram base building was on the edge of the river, and that, of course, contributed to the fact that the avalanche, when it came down and across that river, took that building out. From that time, the tram was no longer operational. The terminal building at the top of the falls fell into disrepair, became kind of an eyesore, ultimately was burned, and then that's about the time that the county purchased the property, including the property at the top of the falls, as well as all the property surrounding near the base of the falls. And then about 2 years ago, demolished, or paid a contractor to go and demolish what was remaining of the tram building at the top. Mr. Losey would like to reestablish the tram as kind of a beginning point for what he's wanting to do. As we've talked with a number of people involved, or that would need to be involved, including the Forest Service, the Utah County Health Department, the Building Department, the Zoning Department, there are a number of technical issues that would have to be worked out to make that work. UDOT is another one. In order to reestablish the tram, if that were to happen, the upper building, we would propose it to be right where it was originally. The lower building, though, instead of putting it at the edge of the river, would be positioned in or near the upper parking lot, which is actually controlled by UDOT right now. That, of course, would require negotiation with UDOT, with your support, of course. Some of the other technical issues, particularly related to the Forest Service and how the property that was originally used for the upper part of the tram is actually about half on Forest Service property and half on Utah County property. It would require their involvement as well, and that, of course, would be greatly facilitated by your involvement and support. Some of the other issues related to the zoning of the property, there would be some difficulty in having it remain county property and in leasing the property, and so Mr. Losi has made the offer, or authorized me to make the offer to actually purchase the property back from the county at the price you purchased it from the original owner. With the idea or the understanding that the funds or the proceeds from that purchase would be used to improve the falls, the common area adjacent to the falls, much like what was shown, maybe not to the extent, but a lot of the ideas that were in the last presentation might be incorporated into that idea as well. As far as the operation of the tram, Mr. Losi's idea is that it would have a joint use. The bottom base building would be used primarily for tram operations, but it may also include concessions areas or some small services to support the use of the property at the lower end. The upper building would be used jointly by the public, who would have access to the top, to the tram itself, and then to a viewing area at the top of the falls, and by his private business, which is a drug and alcohol rehab center. What he's hoping to do is create a kind of a sanctuary place or a kind of recovery place at the top of that, not in the public area, but in a separate part of the building. Let's see. I think that this proposal, if the proceeds from the sale, if it were to go the direction of a sale and not a lease, land lease, the proceeds from the sale could be used to kind of create the opportunity for the county to do a lot of what they've wanted to do for a long time with the falls. And so that's kind of, there's a lot of detail around all of those different topics that I mentioned, but that's kind of the big idea, and what he asked me to come and present. Do you have any questions I could answer?
Maybe I'll just start off with, so I was here at BYU and we had that tram up there. I was up there multiple times for dances when I was a single BYU student. Then I was up there as a married student later on before it was eventually destroyed. And enjoyed it. I enjoyed that opportunity to be able to go up on a place like that and see the view, which you just can't get unless you're a good hiker or bike rider or something. And so I always thought that it was kind of county anyway. I mean, I never knew it was privately owned.
We didn't either until we started researching it.
And then becoming a commissioner and then purchasing that property was kind of eye-opening. I always thought it was totally public, or Forest Service or whatever the case, or they had a lease there. In going through this, because we did go through an RFP with Mr. Losi on this, and it was rejected, and there was some conversations I had with him afterwards, and part of it was that the public wouldn't have access to that tram, which I mentioned, was a complete non-starter, I think, in the county. That's been backed off now, and 100% access there. There's going to be people there that would be staffing that on a 24-hour basis, which alleviates another concern that I have up in that area, and that's eyes on that area, because we do have a lot of accidents that happen up there, and so and things just go on. That would be nice to have some eyes on that would not necessarily take the liability off from us, but can report things that are going on. And so I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by this. The one thing that you didn't mention was that part of his proposal was he was going to build the whole thing out of his own money. It's not any county
Correct.
Resources.
That's right.
He'd build the tram, support it, and charge a nominal fee, for those that travel up and back. But it's not a county resource in the sense of us expending monies. But there would be a benefit to the public, to ride up there. And so that's the reason why I said I don't necessarily see these as competing interests. I see them as possibly, aligning, and I'd like to explore more what can be done. like I mentioned, I've had some frustrations with that. I thought we were gonna move along a little faster, but government doesn't, it moves pretty slow in trying to do something up there in that area. And so I look at both these conceptual ideas as positive starts for us to move forward, and that's why I wanted to pull this work session together to see what kind of appetite we have for doing something possibly exceptional up there. Any other thoughts?
Ranger.
I mean, for me, these are all pretty theoretical. I haven't seen an actual proposal, and so it's hard to comment on them. The other challenge is, for me, is having a private use up there ideal? In my opinion, it's not at all ideal. However, I also wouldn't want, I'm not sure the county would be prepared to own and operate a tram system.
Right.
And so if there's a compromise there that provides a public good and public access to something that otherwise wouldn't be built, and there is still a public gathering area up there so people can get up there, that's kind of intriguing. But it sounds like there's some competing or some, potentially complementary ideas. There's another one that is not presenting here today. If there's the possibility of having all of these built without county resources and for public access, I mean, that's, to me, more along the ideal spectrum. But my concerns are safety and risk and public access, maintaining the environment and the natural beauty. And if there's something that can accomplish those, I think it's great. To your point, Commissioner Lee, about trying to do something there, I really am grateful for your leadership on that. I think at the bare minimum, our county public works and our county recreation department should invest significantly there.
And we've budgeted
Yeah.
$1 million every year for that.
And so part of my reaction is that is not contingent on any other third party. We could build the best picnic facilities and bridges and trails and walkways through there. And I think that should be a priority, because this is an area that's would be supported by our TRT funds, and I think it's one of those high priorities. And if we want to go above and beyond, I do think some of these types of activities are not the types of projects that, as a government, we would likely support on our own. We could put some amazing amenities in there, but not probably owning and operating a tram system.
Right.
And so I think that's probably why it makes sense to be having these third parties out there. And my understanding is the first time that there was an RFP, that was before I was in office, there weren't really any other responses. And so in that context, I'm open to working with the group represented by Mr. Minor here today. But I think we have to be mindful of, okay, what are the other options? What is, I respect the fact that the commission initially kind of said, this might sound okay, but not if it's just a private use. I think that was a great decision by the commission back then to give that feedback. So those are some of my thoughts. I mean, I think our job is to optimize the benefit and the environment for the public. Obviously, these third parties, whoever we're talking to, it's got to be worth their while to invest in it to make it happen.
Thank you.
Mr. Minor, thank you for coming. Your concept today is a little bit better than the last time I'd heard it. I think I've made my opinions very clear the last time. I still have some hurdles to get over, even with the tram being instituted there, because of the visual effect. The fact that it's now being considered as available to the public certainly is a step in the right direction for me. I personally have no interest in selling any of the property there. I believe it was probably one of the greatest acquisitions the county has made. And I believe that the county will do a great job in always keeping and maintaining that for the enhancement of public life in Utah County. And so for me personally, there's not an interest in selling. If we can work something out to provide an amenity that is truly desired by the county, you know, that's beneficial without having to expend those taxpayer dollars, I'm happy to look at those type of proposals. But those would be kind of the hurdles there for me.
I see, thank you.
Great. Again, this is a work session. Work sessions are open. You know, it's not one that is highly regulated, let's put it that way. And I'd be curious if there's any comment from the public, on maybe and some of this stuff may be brand new. Staff too that's here. Anybody have any comment? Well, yes, come on up.
I'm Bryce Larson, Environmental Health Director. So speaking for Utah County Health Department, I would just say that, and this stands to reason, but the more development you have up there, obviously you're going to have issues with, you know, waste disposal, how to deal with the, you know, sewage, that type of thing. Also, you know, trash and litter and those kinds of things, solid waste containment. Just wanted to differentiate between the two, and, you know, drinking water is an issue. So I would just say, obviously, it stands to reason that the more pristine it is, then the less impact you're going to have on the environment. The environment's been mentioned, but public health is also a part of the environmental concerns. So I just wanted to state that, Rick, that we'd have some issues that we would need to work through and make sure that we're protecting public health as well.
Would you have recollection of how some of that was handled historically when the old facility was in operation?
Unfortunately, I wouldn't.
I mean, did they run
Yeah.
off a septic up there at the deal, or was it, I mean, how did that?
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. I came here to this position in 2013, so there really hasn't been a whole lot that's happened since I took my position, but I'm not sure, to be honest. So I just wanted to say that part of the environmental health concerns are part of the environmental concerns are also environmental in terms of public health. So just something to bear in
I
mind.
appreciate that, and I fully, I mean, all those, anything up there is gonna have to comply and work right. That's part of the reason why we kept the old tram down below, because there's some, you know, it has some ability for us to do something. If we were to just disturb that whole thing, you have to go through the complete permit process on an environmental basis again. Part of my concerns, though, is on a health issue. When I go up there and I see all the little white teepees all over the place, there's a environmental risk going on right now, and it's not good. I mean, we've asked Public Works to make sure we have some porta potties up there to try to alleviate some of the concerns that are going on currently right there, that it's kind of disastrous.
I think for me, anytime that we delve into these type of issues is, again, and it ties back into my earlier comment, when we start to attract more people, how do we facilitate that and give them proper places to go, right? Whether that's literally, you know, or figuratively speaking with where they're viewing and stuff, we have to take all of those things into consideration. How are we managing that population flow in those bodies and all of the impact that comes with them? And so that's, for me, those are always kind of the forefront when we dive into these kind of issues. Those are always the forefront of my mind is, you know, I mean, the greatest thing Utah did was have the Fab Five, and the worst thing we did for the Fab Five was advertise them, right? Because you get that competition. It brings so much good, but there's also significant risk and downfall to it. And so for me, it's always trying to find that proper balance.
Right. Ben Vanoy Attorney's Office, we'd be happy to look into what they did historically.
I
We'd also
appreciate that.
encourage all applicants to reach out to the health department, so we could proactively address those issues on the front end, as opposed to it being at the very last hurdle, health department's in your way. We don't want it to appear that way. We want to work with people to facilitate the best option for the county.
Just while you're up here, I think that one of the challenges that I've heard, I certainly understand, and I'm advocating for, you know, keeping the environment pristine in these areas, but to me, that does not always, that doesn't mean doing nothing. Because no matter what we do, even how it's today, our population is just growing so fast that we're experiencing congestion in the canyons, even without amenities. And so there does need to be some transportation and infrastructure and parking and amenity solutions just to accommodate the growth that's gonna come there no matter what, even if it's just the hiking trails that are there.
Amen. I fully agree.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any others? Any other comments?
I wasn't Westburt, Garfield, Utah County. I work here, but I'm only here by chance. Just as a citizen of Utah County, I've lived in Utah County for 30 years. I've seen Battle Bell Falls try different things, having the dances up there, having the tram up there. I think about what Commissioner Lee said about how much traffic, how much volume of people go up there. And I think the question is why are people going there? I'm not sure if they're looking for much more than what's already there. The falls are pretty to look at, the trails. We have issues with sanitation, we have issues with waste, we have issues with parking and stuff like that. And I'm not sure if what we need to do is do anything more than what's already there. Just support or provide the services needed for the people who are coming there anyway. Basically I'm saying, I think we need more research. What are people looking for when they go up there? I don't even know if we know. Are they looking for something fun to do? Are they looking for some sort of entertainment? Or are they looking for no entertainment? They want it to feel like they're away from the city. And my suggestion is that whoever puts up the RFP, to be really data backed on what they are really, what's the thing they're providing? And is this what the people are wanting? And are they fulfilling that need? Because we sit here, I don't know for sure why people go to Bridal Veil Falls. I'm guessing, but I would like someone to do some surveys, maybe some market research or something to really figure out what is it that we should be helping, because I do agree it should be public. It was meant public. It's land, it's beautiful, it's for everybody to see. So that's my thought.
Let me ask you a follow-up there.
Okay.
Because I hear what you're saying, but one of the difficult things of surveying in the way that you just did is you were saying, what are those who are going there looking for,
Oh, yeah.
right?
But what are
Which that's one way to do it. And I actually probably am on the same page with you of where I would guess what they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
But I think the point is, of all the potential visitors,
Yeah.
what would people go there for? What would attract people?
Yeah.
Which is not the same as who's going there now.
Yes.
And I do think you got to consider all of that. But that was just my response. But
Yeah.
I think you make a good point. Do you have any response to that?
And the question is, do you want to make it a destination? Can we handle that much volume? If we make it so attractable, the people that aren't going there are now going to go there. If it's a little mini amusement park kind of thing, can we handle that volume? I don't know.
But these are the challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if we're going to be using taxes from the tourism
Yeah.
and tax funds. For example, Utah Lake. That's an area where I think some additional investment in
Yeah.
amenities are needed.
Yeah.
And personally, I could never justify such a large investment in building a new beach or amenity there by just asking those who are currently visiting the lake, right? The point is, and so there's a balancing that needs to be done as we spend these funds and invest in these resources for recreational access to our whole county.
And in conclusion, I just think whatever we do should be backed by some good research. So that's my
Agree.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
I appreciate those a bunch.
Thank you. Yeah, it is interesting on looking at areas like that. I mean, I can't remember, and Commissioner Ivey what's the name of that little retention pond down here in Spanish Fork or Springville? that's
Bartholomew?
Bartholomew.
Park?
that just blows my mind every time, that, you know, the people that flood there because of that little resource. Anyway, thanks for coming. Any other comments? Okay. Any general public comments? All right, final motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're now adjourned.